What's happening? Today we probably got, I would like to say it's going to be one of the best podcasts I've ever done. I'm very excited. Now, firstly, what we have is one of the best dressed people at Bitcoin Miami. You took my eye straight away. And the biggest thing that I loved about it was the passion, the rawness, the fun. Like you uplifted so many people's spirits. And that's why I'm like, we have to sit down, we have to share. I feel like we got something similar in different parts, but I think we got a lot to talk about. So today, guys, I'm sitting with Loudmouth. And I think the first thing I want to start with is you got to tell these people who you are. Why do you look amazing? Why do you bring this energy? Like, who are you? And what's your journey so far within this crypto space? And why are you here? Why are you at Bitcoin Miami right now? Let's start there.
That's a loaded question. That's a gun.
It's a big
right
question.
there, man.
It's a big question.
Do you guys have enough time? I don't know. We got parties to go to tonight, right?
We do.
Yes. So I'll give you the quick version. So basically, I'm just a dad. I got 7 kids, and I think that if you have the heart of a dad, then you want everybody's floor to be your ceiling. So I'm not here to compete with anybody. I'm here to love on people, and I think through that, people just can feel that energy. That I'm zero threat. I'm not here to take anything that's not mine, but everything that's mine, I want it, right? Yeah. But I want everybody to get what's theirs too, and that's my goal. Is just to let people know that they matter, they're valued, and they have tons of value that the world needs. And so that I like to do this. This is a great fishing lure. I was telling my buddy over here that's about to win this Tesla that you know, people they love you for who you are, and you it's a fishing lure. I want people that are drawn to what they see, maybe not expect what they're going to get, and then they come up and approach, and then I know that those are the ones that I'm supposed to love that's in front of me at the moment. So don't get caught up on tomorrow. Tomorrow could be tough. It could be hard, right?
Enjoy life.
Today's enough, right? Don't get stuck in the past. Just love the one that's in front of you, and you know who that is by.
And were you always like this? Because I'm gonna be honest. When I met you, I'm like, "You're fun, bro," and I'm like, but when I found out that you're a family man. You got 7 kids. I didn't expect that.
And a beautiful wife.
And a beautiful wife, and happy. Like, but I didn't expect it. I could see you were happy, but I didn't know the true purpose behind that happiness. I just saw like this uplifting person. Were you always like that? What put you on this path to be like?
I guess to an extent that was who my character was. But no, I was told a lie growing up, like most people are, right? We're raised in a lie, born in a lie, taught a lie. Most of us live a lie, and it's all about chasing dreams, chasing aspiration, chasing paper, and stepping on who you need to step on to get where you want to get, right? So that's a lie that the world says, and I lived a horrible life. I was a worthless life in that sense, because I knew I wasn't really created to do that deep down inside, but I didn't know. I had no identity. My mom was a 16-year-old girl that got, date raped by a 20-something-year-old guy in the Navy, and she got pregnant with me.
Wow.
And so I was supposed to be given up for adoption. 70s that, abortion wasn't a lot around, so she was going to have me and then just give me away. And a girl that went to high school with my mom was doing her clinicals to become a nurse at the hospital, and she knew my mom really didn't want to give me away. So she was like, when your mom comes in, my grandma, I'll just stick the baby in his arms, right? Or in her arms, and then the adoption paperwork will go away, right? And so that's exactly what she did. As soon as my grandmother walked in, she grabbed me and put me in her arms. My grandmother was like, she called my granddad and said, "Can we keep him? Like I'm a puppy, right?" And he said, "Bring the boy home." And so I went home and started living with my mom and her sisters and grandma and actually step granddad, but he was the only granddad I knew. And that was the start of my life.
Oh, wow. Well, the first thing I want to say, my mom fell pregnant with me at 16 too. 16 and 17. Yeah. My dad was at 17 years old. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, wow.
That's
so I grew up really with no identity.
Okay.
It was an orphan mentality, obviously, and then that wasn't a complete secret, but I never knew who my dad was, and I always wanted to know. At least look at a picture, see what he looked like, because that's where you get a lot of our identity from.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was orphan mentality, and I was just a straight donkey, bro. I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. I started listening to gangster rap when I was young, and watching movies like Scarface. We're here in Miami, and so that's my real granddad was like a gangster in Southside Chicago. And so he wasn't Italian, so he couldn't be a made man, but he was like the muscle and ran whorehouses. And back when you did the time card at factories, we had like 5 or 6 factories, these people that would clock in and then they'd clock him in and they'd clock out, they'd clock him out. He never went to any of them, had checks mailed to him. It was this straight con artist, running whorehouses, just crazy stuff. And I got told that all growing up, that's in my blood and that's who you are. So I thought, well, I'm going to be the best. In school, I get told you're a troublemaker. I was like, well, I'm going to be the best troublemaker. Uh-huh. And so I was always kind of charismatic in the way of who I am. I was just on the wrong team with no identity, just acting wild, bro. And I was a mess. I was a total mess. Mm-hmm. Hurt a lot of people, treated women like they were nothing. And that's what I thought you did. You're more of a man. And I had no idea what a man was, what a healthy relationship or covenant relationship between a man and a wife was. It was, single mom. She moved out when I was like 2. So we were, and she's living her own life. She's young. So she's doing her thing, trying to survive. And even as I'm growing up, she's working 3 jobs. And I was raised by the streets. I started packing a gun when I was 12. I've been stabbed 5 times, had a gun to my stomach, gun to my head. And so when I found out the truth, I was like...
When was that?
I was 25 years old.
25.
And I had a radical encounter with Jesus. And he totally changed my whole life, flipped me upside down. Now, when I say that, I don't want that to trigger anything in people because I think religion is manipulation and control, and it's a very ugly, yucky thing. Mm-hmm. Jesus came to abolish religion and to bring right relationship because that's what it's about. God started with the family, he's going to end with one. And so when I found that truth out, that the Bible wasn't a book of thou shalt nots, and it actually was a book of thou shalt haves, it became my favorite life book. And I didn't have to listen to nobody.
Well, God, you saw the other side of it, though. You didn't see what other people see. You saw
right, and
the truth of it.
I wasn't raised like that, so I didn't have that religion background or those eyes to look at it.
Okay.
It was totally like I was saying earlier, many are called, but few are chosen. It was like I didn't even choose God. He chose me. And I say that in the humblest way I can, because I had no idea what I'm doing. I dropped out of school after 8th grade. I'm running the streets just like beating people up, beating grown men up. 14, I was 6'2", and I thought I was a gorilla, bro. I was ridiculous, but I didn't know. You were just doing good at what you know. Like I wanted to be the best at whatever I did know. All right, and so, man, when I found the truth, I was so pissed. I was mad that nobody told me. All these people.
And what was that moment? How did you find the truth? What was that exact trigger or that switch?
I got indicted to the grand jury. Somebody wore a wire on me, just like in TV shows, selling drugs. And I was facing like 25 years to life in prison. And, in the town that I grew up in, there wasn't that many people. So you mess up your drug career, there's not much after that. Once you get busted, you become a snitch or you can't sell drugs anymore. They're on to me, right? I had a 9-year super successful drug selling career. And then when I got hit, it was like, all right, done. Well, my grandmother had ended up getting saved and having a relationship with Jesus when I was about 12, but we lived in different towns. So we just thought she lost her mind. Like she was getting all religious and weird. And so, but when I was headed to prison, I was indicted at the grand jury. She asked me to come visit her church. And I thought, well, I better show up and at least make her happy. She was kind of like, partially raised me and stuff. And at least she'll send me some, money on my books, come visit me. It's so total wrong heart posture, right? So I show up and there was this 19-year-old boy that was like just preaching the gospel, just jumping on chairs and just being everything he was called to be. And it captivated me. I was like, what in the world gives this little boy, 19-year-old boy, the authority to command this room of all these old people? And I knew there's 2 significant days on the planet that I found out. One is the day you're born, and 2 is the day you find out why. And the moment I seen what he was doing, I knew why I was born.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I said, I don't even know what he was talking about, but I felt like he was talking to me. And then I asked my grandma, she was in front of me. I said, what'd you tell him? I'm all paranoid, thinking like she's unratted me out, and he's like coming at me. Bro, he didn't know I existed, right? Like, but God did. And he was talking to me. And I don't know what he said, but he said enough to where I was like, you know what? I was like, Jesus, if you're real, you got to show me, because can't nobody tell me nothing. I mean, I'd have cussed you and your grandma out. I'd kicked the door. I didn't have any form of value on human life, even my own. I hated myself. That's why I numbed myself with every drug and alcohol I possibly could, so I didn't have to deal with this facade. I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. And buddy, when I said that, I don't know what happened. I just know that probably about 30 minutes or plus later, I woke up off the ground, snotting, bawling, crying. And I just felt so horrible for everything I had done and all the people I treated like trash.
Like this reality, like...
And I was like, all right, I guess you are real. Now let's get to know each other. Because it was like, he was like, tag, you're it. And then he takes off and you got to, you're like chasing him. Like, I want to know you now. Like, nobody's ever touched me like that. And so the best way to do that, I figured, was like, not listen to somebody just tell you a few scriptures and whatever they believe, but actually get in his word and find out who he is. And so I did that. And I was thinking, as I start to read this thing, I've never read a book in my life, by the way, right? I dropped out of school after 8th grade. I got dyslexia. But it was almost like it read me, right? And I was like, oh, and as I started to read this thing, and I started getting captivated, and I started consuming it. I was like,
it's all about feeling, right?
Oh, bro, every motivational speaker, marketing thing, everything you can imagine that those guys say, it all is in there. Somehow, some way, it got out of there into some of these people, and some people give them some credit, some people don't, but every secret is in that thing. And I started doing business the right way. And I started, just as life started, there was a renewing of my mind that started happening. And, man, I ended up becoming like a multi-millionaire, owning 28 properties, having 7 local businesses.
But what was that journey? So how did it all happen? Like, what did you get into? What was the...
Oh, bro,
firstly,
I'm talking making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling drugs.
Okay.
And then totally humbled to where I'm homeless, indicted the grand jury, and now this big, tough, crazy drug dealer is like in love with Jesus, right? And it took me 10 years before people even believed it. They thought I'm just trying to get out of jail, right? But I had an encounter, bro. It changed my whole life. And I went to start working at Arby's drive-thru.
Okay.
And so even people in the town that knew that, they come to the drive-thru and they'd be like, take a second, like, who in the world? What? So it was very, very humbling. Like, and God knew I needed that. He needed to teach me that humility through that, right? And
to start from the bottom again. You had to
I
go.
didn't care. I was already at the bottom. It just didn't look like it to other people. But the authenticity I was tired and I was sick of living the way that I was living, and it wasn't real. It was fake. And people want real. And man, I'm telling you, the realest person I've ever met is Jesus. He is realer than one of them $100 bills with the lines across. Like, he is real. But you gotta to be open to that, because he's not gonna make you do anything. Religious people will try to do that because they're exposing their lack of self-control, because the only thing the Bible tells you to control is self-control. My job is not to tell anybody what to do or not do. It's to live a life with no compromise in front of them, and hopefully something in my life is attractive and they see it and they say, hey, what is that? And then I can share, still with zero expectations, and they do what they want to with it. Because if I'm actually walking in love, the Bible says love doesn't seek its own. So if I'll need you to do something for me, I'm not in love. I'm actually loving myself. I'm being selfish. If I give you a gift and you don't like it and I get upset, I didn't get it for you. I got it for me in the reaction. If I tell you I love you just to hear you say it back, I needed you to say I love you.
That's
right?
very important. Very important.
That's not love. And so when I know that only he can fulfill me, he can tell me what my value is, and he can give me my identity, there's nothing that you can say that's going to change that. So I'm going to be who I am. That's why I say nice guys finish last. Do not be nice. Nice guys have an agenda, and nice
be
is
selfish in a beautiful way.
Right.
Like it's okay to be so good to yourself, because naturally what you give off and how much better you are to people, how much you're better to everything, just by focusing on yourself, but the right version of yourself.
Right.
The
and
true version of yourself.
I don't do it for that reason, right? That's just the fruit of it. So like, what I was saying, like nice guys finish last because nice is an act. Nice is up to something. Nice will flatten the tire to be the hero, show up to change it. Like nice is up to something. They should finish last. Be kind, because kind is who you are. So whether you're giving me flowers or you're cussing me out, it doesn't change me because you don't have that ability. I'm not acting. That's who I am. I'm kind.
It's truth.
So I don't change because of you. And that confounds people. They're like, what in the world? They don't even know what to do with that, right? Because you're actually walking in love. This is if you give everything you have to the poor and you don't do it in love, you had nothing. It says if you have all knowledge of everything, but you don't have love, you got nothing.
You got nothing.
Right?
You're empty.
Well, we should probably find out the definition of love if it's that important. Right?
That's true. That's
right?
probably the most important thing ever. So that time of you having that day, that switch, that new vision, you say you're married.
Yeah.
And these
10
sort of
months. 10 months after that, I met my wife.
Okay.
3 months after I met her, married.
Wow.
Bro.
And so the question that I got is, how was that feeling? Now, why I'm saying that is like with your parents and the dad, like your dad not knowing who he is and these things, like what was your understanding of love? What was that like? Because if you don't know
I didn't know any. I didn't have.
If you
I'm
don't
still
know
learning. I'm still learning that, guys. Like, bro.
But what gave you that feel of like, I want that? You made that switch. You made the thing like, because you don't know it, but you like,
right.
Did you like just keep pushing yourself to limits of like, it's what was that for you?
I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. And I wanted what I never got. I'm probably going to cry.
It's incredible, bro.
I wanted to be.
It's okay, brother.
I wanted to be the dad I never had. I wanted to be the husband I never seen. I wanted to be the man that I never had. And so I didn't know what I was doing or how to do it. But God knew that desire. And so now I'm a dad of 7, granddad of almost 4 on the way, right? My 4th was on the way. And now I get to come to places like this and just love on people like a dad, right?
I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so proud
Crazy,
of you,
bro. Like,
I'm so proud of you, bro.
How good God is. He's so good and he's so real. My life is evident of that. And you could argue theology all day, but you can't argue my story. This is my life. I live this every day, with or without a camera on me. Nobody's seeing. What you do in secret is openly rewarded, good or bad, when nobody's looking. You're not willing to cheer people on when nobody's watching. Man, you can't cheer people on when everybody's watching.
Yeah, and true to yourself and true to no one, bro.
I want to see people win. And so that's where I got my name Loudmouth. Is I said, I'll be a loudmouth for Jesus the rest of my life. I'll be a loudmouth to be about what I'm passionate about forever, because nobody told me. Nobody told me. I'm telling everybody that wants to listen, because it's not my job to force anything on anybody. But hopefully my life can inspire somebody to want something more, whatever that is in their life, right? And so I tell my kids and my wife often, I don't even care if you put my name on my tombstone, because we're all going to die, 10 out of 10, right? It's the ultimate statistic.
And you will die.
Nobody's going to remember my name in 100 years, but make sure you put he did it on there, so that 100 years from now, when someone walks by and they see that, whatever it is for them, hopefully that'll inspire them to do it too. right? I did it.
Come
I'm
on.
doing it. I ain't stopping for nobody. I know exactly what I'm called to do, and I'm going to do it. Life's too short to do what you don't, and it's exhausting to try to be something that you're not. So you press through and you be who you're called to be. And you were mentioning that earlier to me. I'd love to hear about, like you say, if you get past that first level of just that pushback of people trying to make you who they want you to be, right? What is that? What was that for you, right?
So for me, obviously through the journey, it was you spoke about the unknown. What I love about your story is how many unknowns. And that's crazy.
It's
like
still
for
going.
that, for people, the most easiest thing is support. What we know is what we always fall back to. It's that unknown, like it's true. It's so easy to go back. Like so simple to go back. But the unknown is the crazy one where no one's been. They don't know what it is. And one thing I know about the unknown is the first step's the biggest step. The first one. And then what people don't get after that is the steps get smaller. Every step gets smaller. People say rich get richer. All these things happen. No, not really. They just got past the first step. And I saw that when I was the one person that left the city. When my dad passed away, I was the first one ever to just leave. Who had the balls to do that? I dropped out of college too. I dropped out of this and I'm like, I'm out.
Most people live and die within 60 miles of where they were born.
Bro.
Their whole life. Most everybody.
How crazy.
Traveling will give you, if nothing else, the exposure to what you've never seen.
That's so true.
And the so crazy essential.
And the crazy thing with that is like places are also really trapping, because it's like, even though I've made this breakthrough and I've inspired many of my friends, they still trapped there. Like it's crazy how that trap happens. But as I left that, I started to understand that there is levels and there is these things. And once I got past that first, bro, it's like 2.5 years later, and I lived the most incredible life I never thought I would ever have lived. But I just started to learn that, wow, is it incredible to go to the uncharted territories, but knowing that the first level, think about it, you want to become a millionaire, the hardest is to go from $100 to 1,000. That's the hardest. Once you add 1,000 to the 2,000 is easier. 2,000, 4,000, it's easier. Like it's this whole roadmap. And that's that first thing. So I learned that, and that's something that I want to push people, that if you go into any direction or anything new, this man's showing you that you trust your heart. You trust this view that you're more. There's something out there. It doesn't matter what you went through or what, there's bullies. There's lots of unknowns within your life. When you feel it, you go. But also go knowing that the first level is going to try and make you turn around. It's going to try everything that it can to stop you to get through that level. It's going to do everything. And once you crack through that, it just flows. And he's the perfect example of that beautiful journey.
So I was telling him a little bit of a story earlier because his name was David, right? And so there's a story of David and Goliath. Most everybody probably knows it, right? But you just know the surface level. A lot of people only know the surface level of it, right? And they think that, stones killed the giant and all that. But, it's tough to teach in Sunday school what actually happened, but I think it's really possible and what it should be. But like David showed up to bring lunch to his brothers because his dad asked him to, right? So he went to serve his family. And when he got there, they had already, his brothers was there 40 days getting taunted by a giant that they wouldn't fight. They weren't brave enough to fight. And immediately when they show up, his brothers, the people that are supposed to be closest to him, came against him from trying to be himself. They said, aren't you supposed to be taking care of those few, they even belittled what he said, those few sheep you have? What are you just here to see the action? And I'm paraphrasing, that's what it said. You're here to just see the action, putting your nose in other people's business. Your boy, what are you doing? Well, he's there bringing them lunch, right? But he was like, I think I can kill this giant because his testimony, what happened in his past, told him, you should kill that giant. You killed a lion and a bear, you should kill that giant. So his lion and a bear told him, go kill that giant. And then the closest people to him said, no, don't, you can't do that. You're a kid. Because they were deflecting what they couldn't see and what they couldn't do. So they assumed he couldn't do it either because sight is vision's enemy.
Well, but you just said it perfectly, and you said it a few minutes back, that people say things actually for themselves, right?
Right. It's always like an inner self in that sense. So David, instead of listening to that, when they couldn't talk him out of it, he knew that was his destiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then he started asking, what does it pay? And they're like, well, tax free for the rest of your life for your father's house and your lineage, and you get the king's daughter. And he's like, oh, I just was anointed to be king. This is my destiny,
Amen.
right? So when they couldn't talk him out of it, what's the next thing happened? They try to talk him into how to do it. They're like, we'll put on this armor and do it. Like, you wouldn't fight in the first place.
It's crazy how they come and then
But think about that in your life. It's everybody's story. The closest people with maybe even a good heart are telling you not to do something because they don't believe they can. And then when they can't convince you not to, they try to tell you how to do it. You couldn't do it anyway. You wouldn't even do it. Why are you going to tell me how to do it? And that comes as wisdom of the world. That's but it's disguised as wisdom. It's not really wisdom. You know you're supposed to do it. You got to do it your way. And then what he did. Go ahead. Sorry. I get excited.
No. I can see it. And I love it. Like, what do you think creates that from people? Like, well, what's probably because this is the truth, guys. This is the truth of how, like, why are people so much? Obviously, it's like I believe the way humanity's been brought up. It's the same system. Just different technology, different things that are happening, but the same system where it's like this huge, but why is it that majority are like that? They just don't know how to unlock the next level. They don't know how to, and everything is so selfish. It really, really, really is. I don't know that, so don't do it. It sucks. It's not good.
Right.
I don't know these things that like.
And then fear will try to creep in the sense of saying, but if he does do it, then I got no excuse. Right? You ever started a job and you're a really hard worker and the other workers like, you're screwing up what we got going on here? Why are you working so hard? You're making us look bad. And then they cultivate. So what I say is a healthy culture will spit out toxic people, and a toxic culture will spit out healthy people. Nobody gets kicked out. And what I mean by that is if you worked here in America, we have a restaurant called Chick-fil-A, and they say, my pleasure after everything. And then we also have Burger King that says, have it your way. So if a Burger King employee left Burger King and started working at Chick-fil-A, and they said, let's not say my pleasure, let's say, have it your way. That person is not going to get any validation or traction because it's ingrained in the culture of Chick-fil-A to say my pleasure. So you're either going to conform to what we're saying, or you're going to leave because you're not getting validation or traction. And so you don't get kicked out, you choose to leave. So the healthy culture will spit out toxicity. And a toxic culture will spit out healthy people because they don't, if a healthy person comes in, they're not getting validation or traction either. So we need to go where whatever we are, what we fit. That's why if somebody doesn't like me or they don't vibe with me, it's all good. Keep it moving. You're not called to me. So I learned in business of doing it for years is the name of the game is not to do business with everybody. It's find the people that do like you and do business with them over and over and over and over again.
And you know what's crazy about it is this has been happening for a very long time. You know, the way that people think and things. And I don't know, I really hope, and I know you hope too, and this is why we do these podcasts, we hope it changes. We hope that people start to discover a lot more about this mentality. But we don't know when that's going to happen. And as much as we want to sit here and wait for that to happen, I believe the day that I went quiet, so I try to convince the world when I go into crypto. I try to convince everyone. You know what I mean? It's amazing. And it was whipping my ass at the point, and you know, that's how it went. But then when I lost my dad, it gave me this thing of like, Sheldon, disappear. You don't owe anything to no one. Go find you and go do it. And the day I disappeared, and I didn't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. I didn't have to impress anyone. Was the day I discovered myself. It was the day I discovered what I am. And I know exactly, you know that exact feeling.
Yes, sir.
And was that similar to when you started the family and got to this point? You know, you said you retired at 40. Like, did you go quiet? What was it? Was your group small? What was your support? How did you ignore the noise? Because you just got out the game. You just got out all these different things now. How did you go without distractions?
Here's the thing. I did that first, and that's how I got successful. That got me to the place that I could give everything away and go to a place God shows me, right? I had to get to that place first. And I just realized that it didn't matter, and I didn't owe anybody anything. I wasn't called to the people that are, here, I'll put it this way. So God said he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. That doesn't mean just King David, right? We're kings and lords. So he's the king and lord over us. So that means that we are. And then I thought about, well, I have never seen a king leave his throne and chase anything. But the world says chase paper, chase dreams, chase aspirations. And I was trying to chase all these things and then compromise who I was to please other people to fit in, when God never called me to fit in. He called me to stand out, because you can't lead what you're just alike, right? So I had to embrace that, and that changed my life, that I wasn't called to fit in. I wasn't called to, I thought I never fit in where I'm going because of where I came from. Never fit in where I came from because where I'm going, right? And so you just...
It's crazy how we always point to ourselves, right?
But
it's always
it's just, you're the standout in that area, because you were created to be you, the individual, right? Like, I'm big into NFTs. And I always say,
we're going to still get to that. That's a big topic.
But I always say we're God's NFTs, because we're all non-fungible and we're all unique and all one of a kind. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, and every billions of people that were born,
different story, different person, different physical, different
identical
everything.
Twins. They could be totally different, right? What is that? We're all called to be very unique, because that's what we were designed to be. And the moment that we try to conform to the system, we're out of line, right? So we need to sit on our throne and let everything come to us that is ours. That's why I said, I don't want everything, but I want everything that's mine. Because why do you think covet and or jealousy and envy and stuff is wrong? It's because I'm trying to get something that doesn't belong to me. That's yours. And if I have the fear that I'm not going to get my own, then I would try to want yours. But if I would just embrace, God's a good host and a good dad, and he's put everything inside of me that I'll ever need or want or desire. So stop chasing the world, trying to find your purpose and what you got to do and get all this stuff. Like, it's inside of you. Now let it come out, and stop worrying about what everybody else is trying to do or thinks of you, or, and that doesn't mean you have to be like this total rebellious, screw everybody attitude, but when people don't understand that, that's what they'll get, because they know they're created to be who they're called to be and unique. So the best they got is, well, the double flip you off and screw the world, because that's the best they got. So you said what makes me think, or what that is, that gets people to try to talk other people out of stuff. I think the lack of knowledge and understanding of what the real truth is, and what we're really designed to do and be and called. And if we could get that, then you're golden.
And it's crazy how it's such a small thing that many people, you find money, you find all these things. It does happen.
Man,
many people don't.
Even real.
It's not, but
Money
it's
is
the
not
hardest
even real.
thing is happiness. The hardest thing is happiness.
Right, but it can't. The goal can't be just happiness, because happy comes from the root word of where we get happenstances, and not everything that happens is happy. Not everything that happens is great, because we live in a fallen world. So we have to have true joy. We have to be joy. And know it's okay to be happy. But like I say this when I teach finances, right? People will, they'll say, well, money can't buy happiness. Well, only broke people say that.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, only broke people.
Bullshit.
I ain't never seen an unhappy person on a jet ski. Takes money to buy a jet ski. So you just don't have an understanding. So you say silly stuff like that, right? And I know they mean well, but you're just saying that because you're broke, right? And people will get offended by that too. Well, I was broke too. I know how it feels. And I said stupid stuff like that too. But it's not all what it seems, right? Things are not what they seem. Nothing is what it seems to be. So the goal can't be just to be happy.
Money with not knowing who you are could put you on another roller coaster.
Devastating.
No, it could. It could be so much worse. Doesn't mean your path's not coming. It's coming at some point. That's the crazy thing. It's like, we spoke about your journey is aligned, like it's there, it's all in front of you, but there is timing. There's a timing. You are allowed to go down a few wrong roads first.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's the big one. But end of the day, it's like when that time comes, it comes. And it's, we all live this life of what I was saying about happiness. The only reason people struggle to find the joy, the happiness, because it's never been their lives. So they keep chasing something that they have no idea about.
Right.
And that's why they get to a point where they can never feel it or even understand it. And that's why you had to go through that crazy roller coaster.
Yeah.
That's why you had to have the story you did. But well done on being a dad. Well done on finding the passion.
I see a lot of that in your life. Like, you really got an amazing dad heart, because you always are encouraging, proud of people, tell people, you affirm them, let them know, like, that's a dad. That's a dad's heart.
I never got it much for mine.
Yeah.
But I knew he did. And I know he does now.
Right.
He's more proud of me now than when he was here in the physical.
But you're simply just being the change that you want to see. You're being what you needed, right? That's so cool. That's what we're called to do, right? There's a reason that the enemy comes against us, tries to take us out, and then God turns it around and uses it for good, because now you're passionate about what you didn't get.
It's incredible.
Because you want to give it.
It's so beautiful. Just
yeah,
us,
love it.
Firstly, like, what I loved about sharing your story. Firstly, thank you. Like, I think
thanks for allowing me to.
No, of course. And it's and that's the crazy thing. If someone saw you there and saw that joy, firstly, you put so many smiles on people's faces today and these things, but look at the story behind it. And I think that's a big thing. Everyone's got a story, guys. It's incredible. But the journey and sharing it, I think you've helped a lot of people. I just want you to know that. That's all that the best way to help is just by sharing the story, sharing the journey, sharing these things. And naturally, people, if they really want to take the step, they'll take it. Now, through all of that, finding the family, through all of that, you said you retired at 40. How was that day? How was that day to be like, okay, I found family, I found purpose, I found this. Now I have money even to this point. Like, was it a day of like, what do I do now? Do I just go, because you knew you had purpose, but it was...
So here's the thing. So I say that because that's the best way to explain it really quickly. So I don't really believe that we're ever supposed to retire, because we don't work for anybody anyway, right? Like, we get up and we do whatever we want to do, which I think most everybody should. Don't work a job if you hate it, right? You're exchanging your dream for what? Salary, right? Like, if you don't build your dreams, you're going to build somebody's. You might as well build yours, right? But so I guess that was the moment that I realized money really isn't real, and it's not the true value. And God gave it to me, so I wouldn't chase it forever, because it wasn't what I thought it was. And I was like, well, this is kind of useless. I'm the value. I can make more money anytime I want.
When money came into my life, it first tried to I wouldn't say destroy me, but it just it showed so much truth. That's one thing I do have respect for money, is it amplifies the truth of what you know at the time.
The Bible
when it
says
comes,
money answers all things in Ecclesiastes. And most people only hear the scripture of, money's the root of all evil, which is not. It says the love of it is. So if you value it more, you're supposed to tell it what to do. And most people can't. It tells them what to do. And it could be devastating for you. But once you have the capacity to know that you're supposed to be its boss, you make it bow, and then you realize...
You control the direction of it, right?
Yeah.
You control the energy of it. Like that's just the truth.
Money's amoral. It's like a brick. I can bust you in the head with a brick, or I can build a hospital with a brick. So it's what you do with it. It's amoral. Money has no value. It's what we do with it. So I just realized that money wasn't the thing, and I was the value. I can make more money because I figured that out. I can't make more time. And I had 2 kids that already grew up. And I was like, what the heck? Where did that go? I can't ever get that back. I want to just go be a dad. I'll figure money out later if I need to. So we literally gave everything away. Like,
really?
Oh, I had tons. I had 7 businesses. I had excavators. I had trailers. I had buildings, warehouses full of stuff. I had a car. We gave cars away every day. And things. I did that on a regular basis. I'd like to give stuff away, but now this was like, it would have took me 10 years to unwind and sell everything that I had to do what I knew I was called to do. So I was like, I'll sell enough to get out of the business debt, which was about $3 million, and then take enough money to buy a house in Texas and live for like a couple years, you know. Not much at all, less than $1 million. When I say I gave everything away, I kept about $1 million, right?
Okay.
And buy a house in Texas to fit that many people. I mean, there's $600,000 gone, so not much to live on a couple years. But I knew what I was called to do, and I knew I'd figure that out. No problem, right?
You're just ready for the new journey. Just ready for the.
When I didn't value those things, I even talked to God and was like, all right, why you gave all this to me? Why you want me to give it away? I give all the time. Like, you know my heart, I know yours. And he was like, I want others to know it. So by that, it was a witness to a lot of other people that seen like, you live in the best neighborhood. You live next to Michael Dell was my neighbor, right? Dell Computer.
Yeah.
Like he had a house next to him. I was 1 Stone Gate. He was 16 Stone Gate. So there was only 40 in the whole neighborhood. So it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm doing what God said.
Yeah.
So I'm either completely crazy or I heard right. And I'm doing what I'm called to do, right? But they try to talk you out of it, right? Nah.
And where did it go from there? What was the?
We moved.
You bought the house. You got that. And where did it go?
We moved to Dallas, Fort Worth, where I live now, and we helped a couple friends start some churches and some ministries, just loving on people, and then it's when I started traveling, doing Loudmouth ministries. Then NFTs came out.
Okay, yeah, let's get into
So I didn't know what I was doing, but I understood business. I've been building communities and churches and people for, almost 20 years now. I understand people and I understand business and finance. So I was like, and that's how I understood NFTs. This is digital assets with leverage and finance. It's the future of the world. Every ticket, every car loan, every car.
What was your first NFT ever bought?
A lazy lion.
Lazy lion.
Yeah, lazy lion. I got like 35 of them now, 40 cubs, and I got 3 Bored Apes.
Dude, I bought so much. I can't believe the stuff that I bought even. And I remember paying like $50,000 for it. And it was just it was crazy.
I've spent well over $1 million on NFTs.
Really?
Yeah.
And what was the biggest?
Everything I did, money always just comes and finds me, right? So everything I did between that time till NFTs, living there and doing that, I just kept making money and it doesn't even make sense to me because I don't care.
How did you avoid the junk? So firstly, in the most simplest.
What junk?
Well, some NFTs went to, I wouldn't say zero, but the timing of it was like crazy. In the most simplest term, I wouldn't say what is an NFT, but what did you like about it? What did it bring different?
Because I understood real estate, and it related to me like cars and real estate, different traits, different trim models of cars, and because I was in the car business for years, and real estate and leverage that finance. So it was like buying real estate, and you know how you set up and I don't know how things are in South Africa, but here you have like homeowners associations that set up neighborhoods, and the cheapest house and the most expensive house matter on how you can leverage it, the loans and what the value of it is, the investors, the schools, taxes. And so I just seen that as these little clubs and communities start happening, and nobody has enough money to move the Ethereum market. Nobody has enough Ethereum in their bags, right? So, but if I got some of that money or got some investors to take the money off the Ethereum market and put it into a community or a project, now that's like a community bank. And now through guerrilla marketing, we can move money. I can make that, I can market and make one trait worth more than the other. And we did that with the lazy hats and the lazy lions, where you flip the hat up and it said lazy, very marketable, says lazy, and it's a lion. 2-year-old can see that, easy billboard. There was 255 of them. I couldn't tell 6,000 owners what to do. I'm brand new, right? Doing Twitter Spaces. But I could rally 150 owners of 255 in one trait. And then through that, I stopped, tied my shoe to run faster, got their ear, and then we raised it from 1.1 Ethereum ETH to 14 ETH in 7.5 weeks, the value of it. So I can move that market. So through guerrilla marketing, I can market on, a couple hundred people. Then I run that like a board in a business. Now I captured everybody's attention, all 6,000. Now they want to do what we did. They want to hear what I have to say.
Okay.
So all you have to do is get small, then you go right back up because I understand business and I understand marketing. I am good at that because I got 20 years plus experience in it, that with fruit of success in that. So, and that's how I understood. I had no idea.
How do you progress
I was like, why don't I just screenshot? That's silly. I was the same guy. And then I realized, you know what? If somebody came and took a picture of my house, I don't care. I got possession and I got the deed. And the blockchain is the possession and the deed and the transparency that I own this picture. And when people actually valued that, gave a reason and a use case to spend their Ethereum. So now we got something we can buy, guys. We've been doing this for years and we just hold. Now there's a use case. Then you brought art. You brought, the community. So basically, it was bringing you were getting to sculpt a culture, right? That when a kingdom takes over another kingdom, they come in, do their food, their culture, their art, their music, and you take over that. So that's happening again. It's like almost a revolution in a sense of decentralization, and then all these.
What's
going to
stop? So I think I understand the beauty of it and what it. I think was made to be in that sense, but how does the model that it's being created on be protected from greed? Like, because at the end of the day, we're still in a money game, and a lot of people that came late into NFTs lost money.
Yeah,
and that was the big thing. Even though it's beautiful and the tech's amazing, like what it actually is incredible. I think it's something huge. It's still a timing thing, though. It's still something to understand the psychology of people. It's
a timing thing if that's the way you're looking at it, but it's also we can move markets. Well, you can make things happen because you're going smaller than to go bigger. People set the culture, people set the brands, people set the timing, right? There's still emotions involved, but there's cycles. So you started understanding people, and that's how you do TA, right? I don't understand how to read the charts and stuff, but I can read people, and that's all the charts.
I can read people through the charts.
The charts is telling you what people's emotions do. So numbers don't lie, people do. So you've charted their emotions over time, and now you know what's going on. It's the same thing can happen. It's the same thing. Look at the real estate game, just through even like gentrification. So what that is where a city will go down in an area, and it'll start to be a poverty-stricken area. You'll see liquor stores pop up. You'll see clubs start happening, crime start to raise. That real estate goes down in value while another one is raising up. So they're just cycling money the same way that we're doing in this ecosystem. And then before you know it, all the rich people bought that stuff for nothing. And then now big skyscrapers and new stuff going on because they're leveraging it using the bank money. So because money's not real. So as it goes down, they take a $16,000 property, and now the bank's giving them $4 million to build a skyscraper on. Well, that don't make any sense, but it does make sense because that's what they're doing. That's the game. And so all this is old news. It's just using a different tech to do it. So whatever you understand in real business, it's about to start happening on the blockchain through NFTs, through communities, so ain't nothing changed, just the way it happened.
Where's the perfect start for someone to
get over their
NFT
fear?
Space,
get over their fear of it's a scam, because your dollars in your pocket are too. The only thing it gives it
everything
value,
you probably know in life is you don't even know it's a scam.
Yeah, only thing you got in your pocket, the only reason that dollar has a value is because people's faith is in it, and that faith is being transferred right now from that which you can manipulate to digital, which with the right research you can't. The transparency of the blockchain is ridiculous, and the people that manipulate it the most don't like it the most. Why? Because they're about to be exposed.
The truth about to come out.
Yeah, the truth will set you free, bro. But you got to know it, and look at all the people that don't know the truth and how they're being destroyed. And so until transparency comes, until that authenticity comes, greed's gonna happen. People are gonna get destroyed because they're not being real to themselves. They're deceived, like we were talking earlier. And self-deception is the only thing worse than deception, because now they're believing their own lie. And we're in a system that's ran so long that people are deceived, and they think that money's the goal. They exchange their whole life for money, and then they are alone, or unhealthy or trying to trade all the money back to get health that you can't buy and time you can't get.
That's crazy.
Nuts. I refuse. I refuse to do that, bro.
And I saw it when money came in. I was like, I got you. I'm like, was that it? You know, was that really
that's
like
what I'm
this?
saying. Like, all right,
that what you've been like? Been
now I
chasing
can
this
get
always.
anything I ever wanted to get, and I don't really want anything. I only wanted to give to people and get stuff for people.
It's
and buy,
so true. These guys had to force me to go try shop. Because like for me, it was cool to have some money and to like try things and stuff, but it was just, it's such an illusion. It's cool. Yes, it's fun. It's fun for the first half an hour and stuff. But they got to the point where they literally dragged me to the shop and like, you will spend this money on yourself today. Because for me, it was just when I finally got it, the purpose that I loved about money was choice. I loved that there was choice. There was a way that I could do something. By my mom stuck there, I can move her here. I can give her purpose. Like, you know, you're struggling, you really want it. I'm not going to give it to you, but I'll spark you up. I'll give you something to start. And if you want and you chase, I'll help you as much as you want to go.
See, we have this thing in America called welfare, but welfare was never designed to be permanent. It was to give them the spark, give them the help. But we've built this culture that you get stuck and you just are welfare people. I was welfare
I
people.
realized this in proper life. And the reason why I did it was when money came in, I started giving people money. And I really did. And I started taking family, friends. And I'm like, I just started giving them salaries because they never had it. They were struggling and things like that. And I ended up destroying them.
A lot of never helped
and
them,
I was like, what? You know, for me, it was my whole life. I'm like, I can free my people. I can be there. And I gave it to them on a platter. And I just saw them.
It's not freedom, bro.
Go down. And I was like, all your bills are paid for. Everything you need, like, it's just been cleared. Your whole path's been cleared. And they just went.
So that can't be the goal, right?
And I was like, it blew my mind. It was absolutely... So all you got to do, and this is a big lesson, massive lesson, guys, is the understanding all you need to be in people's life is a light and a spark. You don't need to be any more. You need to drag them. It's not weight. This is not a thing where... You know, what is your thoughts on that, actually?
I always say this. The rich guy is never there to write you a check. He's there to show you what's possible.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So when you get the meeting with the guy that you think is going to just write you the check and now I'm going to make it, man, he's just there to show you what is possible and inspire you to do that too, to be the best you can be.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And you know what's beautiful about it, guys, is you can't tell me the journey. Like, it's amazing to get the money and get to where you want to be, but you will respect that journey and those first steps and those struggles and those, like, the crying, the pain. Like, that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, because you are learning who you are and what you're really capable of becoming, right?
What you can overcome, and it meant to happen. I think that's one of the biggest things that brought peace to me. It was really hard to lose my father. It was really hard to understand how someone can take their life, how someone can get... Until I understood the one day, and Craig was my mentor that told me, because I struggled with it for a while, and he said, he's like, Sheldon, first your dad provided from a very young age, and he gave you all you needed to live, like he did. You know, he gave you these things, and he as a man decided that this family would be better without him, and things would change without him. And this was his way of like, I understand you hurt, but you need to respect your dad's decision. And I'm like, okay. He's like, because did it not fucking work? Did it not send you out? Did it not this? Did your whole family's life just changed right now? And these sort of things.
Yeah, but you give every bit of that for him back.
Every single bit of it. But it finally gave me peace and to be like, Dad, I actually respect your decision. I'm no longer, because I was pissed off.
Yeah,
I was angry.
Absolutely.
I was like, why did you do it?
Right.
But inside, he knew that he could play a bigger role there. He could still make the change. He could still be that dad. I feel him more than ever right now. I do. I really do. I feel the proudness. I feel something that he couldn't be in this, what do you want to say, physical form or anything like that. Or he didn't know how to express it.
This is just, we're manifestations of the invisible world visible. We make this right here, what we see is the visible world of what really is real that we can't see. So we make the invisible visible. The manifestation of what we're doing in here, right? And so I really believed, with all due respect, the enemy sins. He only shows up to kill, steal, and destroy. he sends the pain, the suffering, the trouble. I, as a good dad, would never break my son's leg to teach him a lesson. No good dad would do that, right? So I don't believe that God ever sends any of those things. The enemy does. And God does what he does. His MO is, I take bad things and I make them good. So the enemy came to take your dad out. And God said, I'm going to make something beautiful out of this. I will trade you beauty for your ashes because that's who I am. That's what I do, right? And we can't put that position of God on ourselves because we're not supposed to. And that's where that hurt, pain, trouble, all that stuff comes from. But if we actually can yield to him and his sovereignty, know that he never would do anything to hurt us, but he will. There is a real enemy that tries to kill, steal, and destroy us, but he comes to give us life and life in abundance. And if we trust that, then whatever the enemy throws at us, God will turn around and use it as ammunition to chop him up. So to finish the story of the David and Goliath thing, the strongest tactical warfare is to take the enemy's weapon and use it against him to defeat him. So after David talked them out, figured out what he was going to pay, he went and declared out of his mouth, life and death in the power of the tongue, what exactly was going to happen. And then he charged at him and he swung and popped him in the head with the rock. And it said the giant fell flat on his face, right? But that is not what killed him. David then ran over and took the enemy's sword and chopped his head off with it and came back with victory. Came back, brought it back, hanging his head in his hand, a giant's head, and said, oh yeah, because the enemy's been defeated. Jesus did the same thing with death, hell, and the grave. He killed death with death because the wages of sin is death. He never sinned. Death owed him no wage. So legally, it had to release him. So he rose from the dead. And it says, just as our hope is in what God did for Jesus, God is also going to raise us from the dead because Jesus gave us his sinless, perfect life. So now death has no legal right to hold us down. So our hope is in resurrection of ourselves through Jesus. So God will raise your dad back up, me, you, because death is not allowed to hold us. It has no legal right because he lived a perfect, sinless life. And the wages that you get paid to do something, right, it's owed to you. The wages of sin is death. We ain't ever sinned because Jesus gave us his sinless life. So death has to legally let us go. And that is what our hope is in.
Incredible, bro.
Yeah, it is. Let's get it, baby.
It's beautiful.
Now that's good news.
It's beautiful.
That's why
now we are getting eyes that our podcast is getting a little bit long here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see. Why? Because we've got a party tonight and we've got to still be in Miami. But many people are going to want to know more about NFTs after this.
Yeah,
they love this thing, but what I'm trying to say is, where do they find you as well? That's a big one.
Okay.
And what do you provide too in the space? Like, I'm getting the sense of like you love teaching within it, you love being part of it, you celebrate it.
I love relationship.
How do people take the first step? Where can they find you? Where can they? What do you do? You know what I mean? How do they? People just want a little bit of hands and they want a little bit of fun and they want to get into it, but they're scared. They're scared. So how does someone do it?
So the best way you can get is if you're on Twitter, I'm Loudmouth _ETH, short for Ethereum, ETH.
We'll pop it there next to you.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And then on Instagram, I'm _loudmouth.eth. And that's probably the two best ways to. Because
I'm sure people would. We got so much to chat about, but I want to come learn myself, and I'll come do that.
We could do part 2, 3, whatever.
We're gonna. I'm down. People below, pop in the comments if you want part 2, part 3. Let us know. Let us know what you want those topics to be doing. But brother, thank you for being real. Thank you for talking the truth. Thank you for just you're helping people. You're helping me.
Thank you so much.
You made my day. You made me feel better. And now let's hit it. Let's go party. Let's go have some fun.
Let's go.
And
let's go love on some people and change some lives.
So
let's go. Thank you guys.
Amazing.